Good evening, my friends. Epoch Health here, a new food pyramid for a metabolically unwell nation. If you don't believe in that statement, go to Cracker Barrel, look around, tell me if those people are a picture of health. They are not. We are a metabolically unwell nation. So, for the first time, experts are plugging a low carb food pyramid. I've been living a low carb lifestyle for the most part since September of 2015. Maybe I'll tell a story about why later. We'll see. But yeah, September 2015 is when I started. Only had one health hiccup, and that's when I was vaccine shed upon by everybody in April of 2021. Never really figured out what the problem was, but I ended up cutting out my sodium level, and that seemed to fix everything. And I'm off medication for the most part now. So I'm not dead. I didn't die of ketoacidosis. I didn't have kidney failure. My kidneys are strong as ever. Liver's good, everything's good. So here is the low carb ketogenic food pyramid. Highly recommend this if it works for you. It works for me. So avoid bread, pasta, corn, sugar, beans, legumes, rice, and high sugar fruits. So eat sparingly starchy vegetables like squashes, potatoes, and onions. I disagree with onions on that. And I will give you a lot of tips on how to eat low carb and a lot of stuff to avoid because some things you just gotta experience. You gotta just know some things that you think are good keto items that are not. And I will give you one really good example: ranch dressing. Holy shit! Don't eat store-bought ranch dressing. Make your own if you can source some without dodgy ingredients like soybean oil. Low-carb fruits and vegetables like cauliflower, broccoli, that's asparagus, cucumbers, that's lettuce. That's more lettuce. It might be cabbage. I don't know. I do not personally eat leaves all that often. I try to avoid it. Lemons and limes. More greens. Avocados and tomatoes. So, but you want to make the majority of your diet cheese. Now, cheese is very calorie dense and easy to overeat, so be careful with that. But most cheeses are good to go. Cottage cheese is good. They say high fat dairy like whole milk. I'd pass on that. I'd stick with cream. Be careful on yogurts too, because they are not plain Greek yogurt is usually the best bet, but that's not really that palatable to some people. But then again, beef, bacon, chicken, eggs, beef and chicken eggs, two superfoods. Uh, Seafood of all types, pork, chicken, shellfish, shrimp, whatever. As far as fats and oils, you can consume olive oil raw. Do not cook with it. Butter, cream, lard, tallow. Save your bacon fat, my friends. Reuse and repurpose, my friends. Cream is good. Ghee is also good. But like duck fat's another good one. You can usually find duck fat in a spray can, and coconut oil is also a good one. Avocado oil, good oil for cooking, but you can cook with butter and lard and tallow. You can make your own beef tallow too. I highly recommend it. Maybe I'll show a video of that. So, ketogenic diet delivers greater and faster health benefits than a low carbohydrate diet. So, their meaning of low carb is 130 grams or less is low carb. That's kind of what I do now. I have a very strenuous job, a lot of lifting, a lot of walking. I walk about 7 miles a day. Under 50 grams is keto, and I was strict. No, I was very strict keto for a while, kind of dirty keto at the end, but now I'm kind of just generic low carb. I do eat French fries every now and again, and bread every now and again because I just have to. It's a lot of lifting, a lot of strenuous work. So this is actually the article that we're here. With chronic illnesses soaring across the United States, a group of doctors and nutrition researchers say it's time to reconsider the foundation of American dietary advice, starting from the bottom up. In a peer-reviewed paper, which is here, if you'd like to view it, it's not that exciting because these research papers aren't ever. The authors contend that a traditional carb-heavy diet has not only failed to safeguard public health, but may be contributing to rising rates of obesity and type 2 diabetes because it most definitely is. And of course, Big Pharma also is involved. Doctors get paid, they get compensated to keep feeding you medication after medication, and then they recommend the bullshit My Plate and food pyramid, old school food pyramid style of eating, which will never work. You can white knuckle it and lose a few pounds, but you're gonna gain it all back. It's not stoppable. But if you eat a low carb ketogenic diet, or just a low carb generic diet, you will definitely lose weight. You will get an epiphany of energy. It's unbelievable. You don't know it till it happens, and it's like a moment of clarity, if you will. So the new low carbohydrate food pyramid designed for the vast majority of American adults showing signs of metabolic dysfunction. Their model, built on protein, always hit your protein goals, my friends, full fat dairy, and healthy fats. Again, butter. Don't soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, any you know seed oil is a bad oil, by the way. Peanut oil is not great either. A little bit of it won't hurt, but challenging decades of federal guidance and reigniting a long simmering debate about dietary's fat role in chronic disease. Rethinking the food pyramid. The original food pyramid was bullshit in 1992, with like 14 servings of grains in a day. That will definitely get you diabetes, my friends, diabetes. Fruits and veggies in the middle, and fats and oils at the top. They demonized beef. They demonized eggs. They demonized butter. And then fucking Obama fucked it up even more with my plate, which that was when a doctor diagnosed to me that I need to follow the my plate recommendations. I told him it didn't work. He said, "You're not doing it hard. You're not doing it well enough then." So when I showed up for a follow up 4 months later, after September of 2015, 35 pounds lighter, he's like, "Wow, what you're doing is working." And I'm like, "I'm doing exactly the opposite of my plate." And he's like, "Oh my God, you're going to die of kidney failure or heart disease or something." And I'm like, "I feel great." He goes, "Do you know what ketoacidosis is?" And I'm like, "Yes, and I don't have type 1 diabetes, so I think we're done here." Anyway, a graphic that uses dinner plate divided into 5 food groups: fruits and vegetables, grains, proteins, food, and dairy. Protein foods is the smallest wedge, and grains is the largest. The original food pyramid's grain-centric emphasis still lingers in public messaging and perception, and it's just wrong. You don't need to be eating 10 plus servings of bread and pasta and rice. The paper calls for the framework outdated and harmful. Its 24 authors include physicians, dietitians, and metabolic researchers. The traditional model overlooks growing evidence linking high carbohydrate intake to obesity, diabetes, and other chronic illnesses. In its place, they introduce a striking alternative, the first low-carb food pyramid, which I've been following since 2015. All its base foods that were once discouraged: meat, eggs, beef and eggs are number 1 and number 2 superfood. The sardine being the number 3 superfood, and honorable mention superfood, the avocado. It provides a plant-based fat, my friends. It's a fruit-based fat, basically. Full-fat dairy and healthy oils. Avoid soybean oil. Avoid all that. Do not cook with olive oil, for the love of God. Non-starchy vegetables and low-sugar fruits occupy the middle tier. At the top are starchy veggies, high-sugar fruits, and nuts, recommended only in limited amounts. Blueberries are actually really good too, in small doses. Foods high in carbohydrates: grains, rice, beans, and sugars, excluded entirely. There are good sugar substitutes now, like monk fruit is a very good sugar substitute if you want to use it in baking. But beware of other sugar substitutes like maltitol, because that will give you the shits like you would not believe, my friends. You need to be a label reader too if you're going to follow the ketogenic diet. You need to know your fat to protein ratio, the perfect amount. I'm a 95 gram of protein guy. Fat doesn't matter to me. And carbs, carbs are a limit, and fat is just kind of just eat enough so that you feel sated. So they describe the model as low carb and ketogenic, terms used interchangeably in the paper. A ketogenic diet restricts carb intake to between 20 and 50. You can go sub 20. It's difficult, but you can do it. And believe it or not, it's not that expensive if you don't mind eating kind of the same things. And don't be afraid of like what people call processed food, like Italian sausage or bratwurst or hell, hot dogs. Feel free to eat a hot dog. Some people like beef hot dogs. I do not. So, and again, we've looked into. Oh yeah, when you eat keto long enough, or low carb long enough, you shift your body from burning carbs to burning fat, a state called ketosis. Now, another word of warning: when you first start this, about the first 10 days really sucks ass, because you're kind of changing the fuel source, and your body kind of goes through carb withdrawal, and it's not painful, but it's annoying. You're gonna feel really weird. And kind of the strategy for me there was to drink chicken broth, or like dissolve a bouillon cube in hot water and drink that once or twice a day. Again, sodium, when you go switch to keto, you're going to be dumping sodium out of your cells. That's the reason why you lose weight really quickly at first. So you got to replace that sodium, or you're going to be dehydrated. Now, dehydration is not just a lack of water; it's a lack of sodium, magnesium, potassium. Beware of potassium supplements as well. You don't need to you don't need to supplement potassium. For the love of God, do not supplement potassium. Research potassium-rich foods. Pork is one of them. Certain nuts are too, like almonds, I believe. Again, I haven't researched that in a while, because you might get just crippling muscle cramps too. But again, once you kind of get through that phase and you start burning ketones instead of carbs, instead of sugar in your bloodstream, it's you receive this moment of clarity, reward, and it's unlike anything you've ever experienced in your life. I've only experienced one thing close to that, and that was the first night with my CPAP machine. I do have sleep apnea. I cured it thanks to losing weight, by the way, but I am addicted to my CPAP machine. I cannot sleep without it. And but the first night after sleeping with that, after being in a shitty sleep pattern for I don't know 6, 7 years, that was also a very similar experience. I don't know why I'm telling you all this stuff to either, by the way. Some experts caution against treating all carbohydrates as equal. They all are equal. Whole grains are associated with better health outcomes. I don't believe that. Again, none of this is medical advice. You do you. Current guidelines blur that line by suggesting at least half of grains be whole. Dilutes what could be a clear public health message. Most Americans show signs of metabolic dysfunction. Again, go to Cracker Barrel, look around, and need dietary guidance that reflects reality. This pyramid is for 88% of American adults with metabolic diseases. Nina Teichholz, the study's lead author, I follow her on Twitter, I believe. At least I used to. Told the Epoch Times the USDA food pyramid was created based on flawed scientific evidence, and when tested in clinical trials, it's never been shown to prevent any chronic diseases. And also, the food pyramid was bought and paid for by big agriculture. Imagine my shock. The low-carb model aligns more closely with today's science that better suits the nutritional needs of most Americans. So, I mean, we've been through all this stuff. We've covered just about everything here. So, again, I can give you some tips. Again, read your labels, especially on like prepackaged foods. Now, generally, the rule of thumb is when you're eating ketogenic, you only need to go around the outside of the grocery store. You never need to go in the middle aisles except for something like, I don't know, almond milk, which I don't recommend drinking, but, again, you do you. And because you can get vegetables if you want, like broccoli, beef, because the produce, I mean, well, in my store, the bakery is right there. And then you go through produce, and then you get to seafood, and then meat. And that's my Publix anyway. And then you go to like your processed meat, your bacon, your hot dogs, your lunch meat. Again, watch lunch meat. It's got a lot of salt that you may or may not need. And yeah, it also tastes weird. Get fresh stuff from the deli. I would recommend, but because again, you don't need cookies, you don't need chips, you don't need crackers, you don't need bread. Obviously, you don't need fucking cereal. There's a whole aisle for breakfast fucking cereal at the grocery store, which you don't need to eat anymore. And yeah, then after meat, you go to the dairy. You got your cream. Heavy whipping cream and light cream are actually very good with coffee. Again, feel free to dabble in making ketogenic ice cream. I've done that many times. Just trial and error, get an ice cream machine. And then after dairy, you go to, that's it. That's all you need to go to. Because your eggs are over in the dairy section, right? And again, as far as eating it inexpensively, I mean, again, hot dogs are fairly cheap. Bacon, at my Publix, bacon is almost always BOGO. Also, pork shoulder is it's not BOGO, but it's like $2 a pound. And you can eat a lot of meat off a pork shoulder. Maybe I should make recipes. I don't know. But and also just look for sales if you're eating on a diet. Ground beef is just has the same nutritional components basically as a ribeye steak. It's just slightly in a different form. Again, if you want to eat steaks, go ahead, knock yourself out. Eat steaks every day. Steaks with butter. Can't go wrong with that. Steaks and butter with mushrooms. Not mentioned in the keto pyramid. Mushrooms, highly recommended food. So yeah, but yeah, if you want to eat steak, I don't really. I mean, chicken's all right, but I prefer beef, but you can get ground beef relatively cheap. I mean, you can get frozen hamburgers. I mean, you can do it kind of easy, low carb loco moco with a couple over medium eggs and a couple burger patties, and get some make some brown gravy. I mean, you can use a little bit of cornstarch. It doesn't have that many carbs in it, just to get it for a thickening agent. But yeah, again, read labels, watch for soybean oil. Maltodextrin is okay. It's often maligned, but it's just an emulsifier. Don't worry about that. But yeah, soybean oil and zero sugar stuff. Zero sugar sodas have come a long way, by the way. Oh, and another thing is you can guess what else has zero carbs? Spirits. So vodka, whiskey, bourbon. Feel free, man. I mean, alcohol is in itself another calorie source. I think they have 7 calories per gram. I think I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah, you can even get drunk and be keto. So that's all I'm gonna do. If you like my content, hit subscribe, like button. Holy shit, 16 minutes. I am passionate about this subject, by the way. Hit subscribe, like button, notification bell. Leave me a comment. I read all the comments with friends. Pick up some non-perishable food, and God bless.